ambitions is a rider. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Guillotine Geeks. Today we're joined by Jordan, the epidemic Vucenic. Jordan, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, my man.
Let's jump straight into it. Your last performance, one of your best to date. What's changed all of a sudden? You came back from the UFC and all of a sudden you're on probably the best run of your life. You're finishing some serious boys in the first round.
A lot of things have changed. Um, I think one of the big things as well is, when first went to the UFC, I think I was a featherweight in the lightweight division, and now it's been nearly 2 years as a lightweight. I've actually been able to eat like a lightweight and let my body grow naturally. Like I said before, I was always in a strict calorie deficit, always trying to keep my weight low. And now on fight day, I'm probably like 5, 6 kilos heavier now than I was when I was in the UFC on fight day.
Is that anything to do with changing up your nutrition or?
Yeah, I've got my new nutritionist on board and he's done it smart. Whereas at featherweight, I think I used to cut that much weight after fights. I would just eat so much. I'd get fat. And then, so I wasn't ever putting on real weight. I was putting on fatness. Whereas big Dr. Sean Aspinall, he had me like calorie counting quite far out and he allowed it to be higher and just allowed my body to be a bit more natural and um yeah, I mean, I was looking the other day at some of the old featherweight fights to now and I look like a different person. Just the difference is crazy.
Well, even if you look at your evolution from when you first came on the scene in Cage Warriors to the UFC to even now, you obviously had your very distinct kind of Thai style. You came in, obviously the whole Siam box and all that, and then in the UFC you started mixing your hands more, and you can see a lot more in your feints and everything. Your movement now it kind of looks like you switched to more boxing focused. Is it?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I've been boxing forever, all different coaches, but it's all just started clicking now. I've took on a new boxing coach, Wayne Sharp, and it's all just started clicking. But a big thing is I've had bad hands for years and years, and I think that was from cutting to featherweight. Just all that stress I was putting on my body, on my bones, really as well. And now hands of stone now, I'm telling you. I used to always, people used to say, would you ever do bare knuckle? And I'd always go, nah, I'd break my hands. And whereas now I'm thinking, yeah, I'd no bother.
What has been your favorite fight so far in your career?
Probably in my career, oh, I don't know. Because there's been all trials and tribulations throughout. I mean, how bad do you want to be a fighter? That's what I got out of the Paul Hughes 2 one. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people say they're ready to go out on their shield, but they don't know. Um, God forbid they don't ever have to find out if they're ready to go out on their shield. Whereas in that, I did find out that I was ready to go out on my shield. Do you know what I mean? But I would say maybe as of recent, the Daniel Conrad one, because he was such a stud. And I was like really expecting, I'm in for it with this one. This is going to be I was expecting it kind of be another Paul Hughes 2 fight, like a real war. And yeah, just like I said, I'm getting it bigger and bigger. The power's flying up, the balance is there, and I'm getting to that point now where it's all part of God's plan. So I just got to go out there and just let it fly and enjoy myself, and that's what I've been doing these last couple. And look what's been happening.
Well, do you reckon Paul Hughes is your toughest fights ever?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. He's so high level as well, isn't he? Um, yeah, such a great fighter, a great human. Um, And we've done it twice, and you never ever know. We might run it back in the future. You never ever know.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've been talking about it all week. That's my dream fight is to see you and him trilogy. I think it has to be somewhere big though. It's either gonna be the
Has to be for
O2.
some big Wonga. Some big money's got to be on the line for that. But I'll do it. I'm pretty sure he'll do it one day. So you never know.
You've said before UFC only. Would you go one fight deal only to the PFL for that fight?
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah, I am so for the UFC. It's unbelievable. But if it wasn't meant to be, and that's what everybody wanted to see, then why not?
Hey, take my money, please. Them two fights are some of my favorite fights of all time. Not just UKC, just in general. They are. Oh, Thing
Yeah,
of
the
beauty.
first one, my coach after, I remember he said you were like two street cats fighting. The way you were just spinning and rolling all over the place.
It's brilliant. And obviously now 3-0 since you've left the UFC. Surely they've got to be knocking at your door.
Ah, you don't know. We'll see. I think if I would have went out and done what I did to Nanato to Ashmuz, who I was originally fighting, then maybe. Um, but I don't know. But like I've said many a times, I am just enjoying them fight by fight now. I'm not looking past anybody. I'm not looking at what's next until it's there in front of me, you know. Um, I've got a great manager, Graham Boylan. I've got an amazing team. I am just blessed. I really am just blessed.
Obviously, you and Davies just won the lightweight belt in pretty dominant fashion. Would that be a fight that's possibly in talks?
I'd fight anybody. But I've been Cage Warriors world champion before. Um, I just want to get back into the UFC. If my management had come to me now and said, "Yeah, you get that belt, you're definitely going to be back in the UFC," of course I'm going to do it. I think I'm the best in the whole division. Um, but I just want to. I mean, everybody keeps saying it to me. Oh, you're just yes, you blah blah blah. Too much, too much. But you know, you can only go off, and the UFC will only go off what I done when I was in there, and I didn't do great when I was in there. But I am gonna right those wrongs. I'm telling you. I've said this to a few people. There was in talks of me just stopping fighting at one point because I thought I was never going to get to the UFC, and I truly believe that God said, "You're not ready for the UFC yet, but I'm going to give you a taste just so that you keep that dream alive, and then I'm going to take you away. I'm going to rebuild you, and I'm going to put you back in when you're truly ready." And I think that's what He's done, and I think that's what's happening now.
And I'm not gonna lie, I thought your first fight in the UFC, I thought you won that quite cleanly. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I think it was very harsh. I think you're 1-1 in the promotion in my eyes. I think it was very harsh to cut you. You definitely deserve that second chance. Like, and you've seen so many Cage Warrior boys go over and they have a few losses or they have a kind of mixed record and they get cut. But then look at like the likes of Mason Jones. He's bounced right back in. He showed that you deserve to be there.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm going to do. It's Modestas, Mason Jones. I'm going to follow in these kind of guys' footsteps of what they've done, and you know, hopefully do it even better.
And who would your favorite fighter be to watch as?
Who'd be my favorite fighter to watch? As in, if I'm gonna put on a fight now, and if I'm gonna try to show somebody to get into MMA, who am I gonna show them?
Yeah.
Probably like Petr Yan. Somebody like him, the Petr Yan. Show them the first fight, him and Marab. Show them the second fight, him and Marab. Just how he switched it up and just, yeah, I like Petr Yan. I think he's good everywhere.
And what about your dream fight? If you could fight one fighter all time, doesn't matter. They could be retired, they could be dead, doesn't matter. Who would you pick?
Anyway, I could just make myself massive and just fight them. A random one here, probably like an old school Kane Velasquez, just the pace, sea level Kane, the pace he used to put on people. Maybe just that, get to feel that relentlessness at that weight. I mean, I still think I'd sleep him if I was his weight, but yeah.
That's some elite ball knowledge there with the sea level being dropped in there too. We've got a few viewer questions, a few team questions. So the team's asked, "What's your first tattoo that you ever got?" Obviously, you have probably some of the most tattoos in the sport. Your first tattoo and the story
Yeah.
behind that, and your favorite tattoo and the story behind that.
My first tattoo was one on my neck. I've had it covered now since because it just was done very, very poorly. But I had "Rest in Peace, Dad" on my neck to start, but it was just done by a guy in his house when I was like 15 years old, so it wasn't very good. Um, and my favorite, I've obviously got my son's names, but I think like favorite piece, maybe my samurai helmet on my stomach. I remember when I got that done, and everyone was like, "Don't get your abs tattooed, don't get your abs tattooed." Um, But I just thought full send it. I thought, fuck it, I need to be full body. Yeah, maybe my samurai. Even if you look like obviously samurai is typical like a warrior sort of thing, and then it's got its little emblem on the crown, and it's like an octagon shape with the cage on it. So yeah, I would say that. I would say that.
Have you got any more that you've got in mind if you could find the space?
Well, obviously, nah, I've not got any more on mine. Oh, I'm a Bruce Buffer with Corby on it as well. That's another amazing one because, yeah, that's probably my favorite. My Bruce Buffer with Corby because when I first got into sport, I said to people, imagine when Bruce Buffer screams fighting out of Corby, and everyone was like, never, that will never ever happen. And you could see they looked at me as if I was completely delusional. And so when it finally happened, I needed to celebrate it with that tattoo. But in regards, have I got space for any good tattoos? No, I ain't got any space for any good tattoos. I've literally only got space for small little ones here and there.
Fair enough, fair enough. Then we've got a viewer's question, which is, what's your funniest MMA story? So it could be training, it could be something that happened at the fight, after a fight.
Oh, off the top of my head, I can't really. Any funny ones? I've had some strange ones. I mean, I remember as an amateur, we drove all the way. I say all the way. We drove like 3 hours to a fight show. I got there, did everything. My opponent kept failing the medical because he was so nervous. His heart rate was up, and I went in and pep talked him like, "Come on, mate, calm down." Da, da, da. Convinced him to like pass his medical. We passed it somehow, and then as on the walkout they come running to me. No, no, your fight's off. Your opponent's took a hay fever tablet. He's too dizzy. He can't fight. And I was trying to storm into the change room, trying to find him. Everyone was like, "Oh, don't be a bully." That's like a strange, weird one. I just there's been loads of crazy things like lock Cage Warriors. In lockdown, that was all just craziness. But all the fight story, all my funny fights. I'm very like I'm on business when it comes to my fighting. My funny MMA stories have been when I've been cornering people. Just some like we had an amateur before, and we said, "Hey, have you got a towel?" It was his debut. He says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and he gives us his towel. It was like a Finding Nemo one. Just like things like that have just been so funny.
Going on from Cage Warriors and Octagon, for the record, you were the epidemic before the pandemic. Where did that nickname come from?
So that so as an amateur, I weren't one of these amateurs that just stick on one show and build their record all on one show. I wanted to get out and get after it. So I was boxing on the Friday, fighting on the Saturday. Like that's when I say to people I've had plus 65 fights, I don't mean professional MMA. I mean boxing, kickboxing, like K1, Thai boxing, amateur, pro, everything. Um, and I was just traveling here, there, and everywhere, and just beating everybody as an amateur, even before it was all getting videoed so much. And this guy just said to me when we got to the show one day, like, "Oh, you're just like an epidemic. You are. You come onto these shows and you beat all the guys that you're not meant to beat. You're like here to for them to beat you, and you keep beating everybody." Lee Doskett was, and he just said, "Hey," and then that was it. It just I walked out for a fight. He said Jordan the epidemic for Chenick, and it just stuck from there on out. And I think I'm the only epidemic in all of MMA. Yeah.
And you've got the tattoos to match. You've got the kind of hazmat
Yeah,
sign
yeah,
and
and
the
that's
plague
and yeah, the
doctor.
plague doctor on my back. And as well, here's a funny story of MMA. When I when I was called the epidemic, I got it tattooed on my bicep. I got the epidemic, and I had this thing in my head. When I win this fight, I'm gonna point to my bicep and fucking flex and point. And I lost that fight, and I just thought, you cunt. But that was on my sleeve. I've got blacked out now. Anyway, that was just because that was such a bad sleeve. It just needed blacked out.
Hey, you could do the white ink over it too. I've seen a few
Yeah,
people trying that.
yeah, I can get that done one day.
Putting ideas in your head now, probably.
I know that's it.
And then our last question for that we've got for you, sorry, is another viewer question, and it's, if you weren't a fighter, what do you think you would have become?
Um, in regards with MMA, I would have been a coach. I think I'd have definitely coach, and I think I am going to do that. You know, I kind of take a coaching role on now, but I would have done something sport wise. I was always sporty as a kid. I could pretty much put my hand to anything and do everything, anything. But I was in school learning to be an electrician. Not in school, in college, learning to be an electrician until I found MMA and I just quit it. One day I went in and said, "I don't need to do this course anymore." They said, "Why?" I said, "I'm going to be a professional MMA fighter." They all laughed at me, but look who's laughing now.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect ending right there too. Any socials, anything you want to shout out there? Or?
Just all my sponsors, and hopefully many more to come. But with this sport, you cannot do it without the sponsors. You couldn't rely on just fighter pay alone. So yeah, just a big massive shout out to all my sponsors. Really couldn't do it without you, and it's just as simple as that. Could not afford to live and fight full time and be the best martial artist I can be, and it is all down to you guys.
And mate, thank you as a fan and as a host. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, boss. Thank you, mate.
Badass. Hey. Ambitions is a rider.